Welcome to B&C Car Reviews channel. Our 2022 Honda Civic C-Track Sebring 20,000-mile update. Biting at the ankles of a Porsche 911 GT3 through Sebring International Raceway's Gendibian bend with enough momentum to nearly overtake it made me feel like IMSA's Mario Farnbacher. Unfortunately, I'm no Farnbacher. And instead of his NSX race car, I'm swinging through the gears in car and driver's long-term 200-horsepower Honda Civic C. To say the nearly 3,000-mile round trip from our Michigan office for an instructional weekend with the Florida region of the National Auto Sport Association was worth those few seconds is to state the obvious. Hell yeah, they were. Cadillac to enter 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans with LMDh V.R hybrid. Cadillac is the latest automaker to reveal plans to join the new LMDh class, which will be eligible in both the IMSA Series and the World Endurance Championship, which includes the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The Cadillac LMDh V.R will have a unique gas-powered engine and bodywork but will share an identical chassis and hybrid system with all of the other LMDh cars. Cadillac will partner with Chip Ganassi Racing and Action Express Racing, and will first enter the car at the 2023 Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, the flagship event in IMSA. Cadillac has had incredible success in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship, winning the title in 2017 and 2018 and triumphing at the series' marquee event, the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, for years in a row from 2017 to 2020. Now Cadillac joins a growing list of manufacturers that have declared their intent to challenge for victory at the 2023 24 Hours of Le Mans, announcing plans to enter in the Le Mans Daytona Hybrid, LMDh, class for the 2023 season. This move will allow them to compete in both the US-based IMSA Series and the FIA-run World Endurance Championship, which includes the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The 2023 Cadillac LMDh V.R will represent the fourth generation of V-Series racing prototypes. In LMDh, for companies, Multimatic, Dallara, Oreca, and Ligier will supply identical chassis to the LMDh teams while Bosch, Williams Advanced Engineering, and Strack will provide the identical hybrid systems to all competitors. However, the Cadillac LMDh V.R's gas engine and bodywork will be unique. Cadillac will source the chassis from Dallara and will partner with Chip Ganassi Racing and Action Express Racing at the track. After 9 seasons, the World Endurance Championship has retired the LMP1 class, replacing the top category with a new hypercar class. This class will include cars that follow 2 sets of rules: the aforementioned LMDh regulations and the Le Mans Hypercar, LMH, rules. The LMH class is less restrictive than LMDh but will also likely be more expensive. Both classes will be eligible for the World Endurance Championship and the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2022, and LMH cars can join IMSA in 2023. LMH cars already appeared in the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year. Toyota won with the new GR010, Scuderia Cameron Glickenhaus entered 2007 LMHs, and Alpine adapted a Rebellion R13 Gibson into the A480. Cadillac says the LMDh V.R will race for the first time at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona in January 2023 and can then be expected to enter the 24 Hours of Le Mans the same year. Along with Toyota and Glickenhaus, the LMH category will add Peugeot and Ferrari, partnering with AF Corse, by 2023. LMDh is proving more popular with manufacturers due to reduced costs. It will see Porsche, teaming up with Penske, Audi, Acura, and BMW join the fray, with several other automakers also rumored to be interested. This content is imported from Pol. You may be able to find the same content in another format, or you may be able to find more information at their website. Porsche unleashes 911 GT3R race car to take on Le Mans and Daytona. Porsche has revealed the latest 911 GT3R, a race car that will compete in the IMSA Endurance Series and for the first time will be eligible for the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 2024. The water-cooled flat six grows from 4.0 to 4.2 liters, putting out 565 ponies and routing that power through a sequential 6-speed transmission. Porsche focused on improving drivability with the new GT3R, redesigning the suspension to lessen tire wear and creating broader power and torque bands. Normally, developing a new race car is all about going faster. But in the two top endurance racing categories, the FIA World Endurance Championship and the IMSA Sports Car Championship, a system called balance of performance limits the car's abilities in order to preserve parity and prevent one manufacturer from dominating. Instead of focusing on outright speed, the new Porsche 911 GT3R was developed with durability and drivability in mind, to give sports car racers an easier time conquering grueling races like the 24 Hours of Daytona. The 911 GT3R is, of course, based on the current 992 generation 911 platform, but the wheelbase has been extended by 1.9 inches and the aluminum steel composite frame is now cloaked almost entirely in carbon fiber body panels. The naturally aspirated, water-cooled flat-six engine comes from the road car but is enlarged from 4.0 liters to 4.2 liters. Peak output shoots up to 565 horsepower, but more crucially for Porsche's goal of drivability, the torque and power bands are spread across more of the rev range. The engine is still mounted in the rear but Porsche leaned it forward by 5.5 degrees, allowing for more space for the rear diffuser, and the sequential 6-speed gearbox has lifted from the GT3 Cup car, which races in a slower, one-make Porsche Super Cup series, and modified for use in the GT3R. The 911 GT3R uses an unequal length control arm suspension design at the front and a multi-link rear suspension, while the adjustable KW shock absorbers have 5 settings. Porsche says the suspension has been designed to decrease degradation of the rear tires, allowing racers to drive longer stints while maintaining performance, as well as making it easier to institute setup changes. The extended wheelbase is also said to boost tire longevity and consistency of grip over longer periods on track. Welcome to B&C Car Reviews channel. Our 2021 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray Z51 delivered 40,000 miles of fun. 40,000-mile wrap-up. During our first weekend with the 8th generation Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, we headed to an unlikely destination. With the trunk loaded with shotguns, a bin of hunting gear on the passenger's seat, the frunk and remaining cargo space filled with Costco supplies and barley pops, we headed to northern Michigan for the opening of turkey hunting season. Michigan's northernmost highways are empty at night. When the odometer rolled past 500 miles and the engine computer unlocked the last 2,000 RPM of shove, it was time to press the long-travel gas pedal and let the 495 horsepower 6.2-liter V8 drink deeply. Blink and the 8-speed dual-clutch automatic drops down a few gears, followed by firm, assertive upshifts. The last mile to the hunting cabin is a rocky, rutted 2-track. Before the trip, we removed the track-only cooling ducts for the rear brakes, and with help from the optional front axle lift, the Corvette made the journey unscathed, cementing the notion that this is more than a mere sports car. It is a mid-engine multi-tool. While some believed we should have kept the price tag south of $70 large by sticking with the base 1LT trim and adding just the essential go-fast goodies, such as magnetoreological dampers and the Z51 performance package, performance suspension and exhaust, upgraded brakes and cooling, summer tires, and an electronically controlled limited slip differential, we knew we'd be living with the Corvette day-to-day for 40,000 miles. We eventually settled on the $67,295 2LT trim, primarily for its additional creature comforts, including heated and ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel, a head-up display, and wireless device charging. We kept the options minimal and meaningful, the aforementioned Z51 package, $5,995, front axle lift, $1,995, adaptive dampers, $1,895, red mist paint, $995, and carbon flash wheels, $995. For a $79,170 bottom line, still a performance bargain. When the 1,500-mile break-in period was complete, we headed to the test track. The 3,665-pound Corvette leapt to 60 miles per hour in 2.9 seconds and pummeled the quarter mile in 11.2 seconds at 122 miles per hour. That ties the 755 horsepower 2019 Corvette ZR1 to 60 and is just a half second behind it at the quarter-mile stripe. The ZR1's large 13 miles per hour trap speed advantage shows that the mid-engine car is more efficient at putting down power from a standing start. On the Z51's Michelin Pilot Sport 4S rubber, the Stingray needed only 148 feet to stop from 70 miles per hour and circled the skid pad at a respectable 1.03 Gs. It's worth noting that when we retested the Stingray at 40,000 miles, it precisely duplicated its original 60 miles per hour, quarter mile, and skid pad results. This is a consistent performer. When it wasn't out terrorizing a twisty two-lane road or casually running daily errands, the Corvette spent thousands of miles on the interstate bisecting the Midwest. It wouldn't take long for staffers to praise the surprising comfort level of the Corvette's base GT seats. From short to tall and skinny to wide, everyone found a supportive position in these chairs. On the highway, we were always impressed by the V8's seamless transition to four-cylinder operation and its ability to effortlessly cruise using half its cylinders at 75 miles per hour, where the Corvette returns an honest 26 miles per gallon. Then there are the magnetorheological dampers, which could be simply labeled magic. We can only imagine the hell engineers endure calibrating suspensions on Michigan's crumbling roads, but the Corvette is all the better because of it. The dampers deliver impressive ride quality over broken asphalt in their least aggressive setting and properly firm up when it's time to get wild. In fact, they're so good at tuning out imperfections that when our local dealer told us all four wheels were bent, we didn't believe it. After a second opinion verified as much, we eventually had the wheels fixed, at a cost of $500. The Corvette also proved to be not for the socially awkward. Everywhere it went, it sparked conversation, thumbs up, and ear-to-ear smiles. The winter months turned those looks of joy to ones of disbelief as the red mist livery transitioned to a frozen slurry of road grime with a nose full of Michigan's finest uncut blue road salt. As the roads turned to skating rinks, the Corvette cut through the ice like Scott Hamilton, with help from a set of Michelin Pilot Sport Alpine PA4 winter rubber. When the white stuff piled deep, the front splitter pushed more snow than El Chapo. Invoking the front axle lift wasn't much help, as it operates only at low speeds, but it was useful for keeping the chin from scraping on steep driveways. Bent wheels weren't the only destruction caused by Michigan's deteriorating roads. Mother Nature's violent freeze-thaw cycles tend to jackhammer the pavement surface, and when we unexpectedly encountered a piece of concrete in the road, it tore up the ground-hugging Vette's underbody. Thankfully, none of the vitals were damaged, and the repair bill was a reasonable $471. Over 40,000 miles, maintaining our Corvette was relatively inexpensive. The first oil change and transmission flush and filter swap are complimentary, but the next flush at 22,500 miles cost us $539, which is nearly half of our total service tally of $1,153. Still, that's about 50% less than service costs for our last Porsche Boxster. Unsurprisingly, we wore through a set of $1,962 Michelins in 21,000 miles, but the Stingray demonstrated superb reliability with only 2 bogeys on its scorecard. Early on, the SD card that stores navigation maps failed, which is no big deal as we prefer the guidance apps beamed wirelessly through Android Auto and Apple CarPlay anyway. The bigger mishap occurred after a day of lapping Virginia International Raceway. When we fired up the V8 for the trip home, the sound of a fork in a garbage disposal and the smell of burning rubber came from the engine bay. The air conditioning compressor had failed. The car was still drivable provided the AC remained off, making for a sweaty 700-mile trek. Whether running the AC on the track was the culprit or its failure was an untimely coincidence, we'll never know. The repairs were covered under warranty. A car of the Corvette's outsized capabilities comes with a learning curve. You'll need to familiarize yourself with all the buttons atop the divider separating driver and passenger, for example. With time, they make sense. And where else would those controls go? Buried in the infotainment? No thanks, physical buttons, even weird ones, win every time. Outward visibility isn't great, especially looking out the back. The 2LT's rear camera mirror feature requires some visual adaptation, but it's worth it. The top panel's removal and storage in the trunk is fairly simple, but it eats into space for the Mossberg. These grievances may be trivial, but they're real. Nevertheless, Chevrolet's mid-engine creation is a four-season, do-almost-anything machine. Sorry, Ford GT. This is America's supercar. Rants and raves. The successor to the original NSX, the everyday supercar, isn't the current NSX, it's this Corvette. Rich Seppos. The C8 Corvette makes the average Joe feel